welcome to the Science Faction Podcast, where science meets fact meets fiction.
This is Science Faction for the week of May 18th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Dominguez, and with me today on this beautiful Sunday morning are two gentlemen.
What's up? I'm Benjamin Daniel Lawless.
I'm Kraft.
Devon, so for some reason, maybe this might be a Discord thing, like the first, 25th of a second of when you start talking seems to always be cut off.
Okay.
Instead of you saying
that up from you, Stephen, too.
Does it sound like that on the recording?
Yeah. That's probably just a Discord thing because there's a setting where you can kind of soften it. It's supposed to don't have like hard pops and stuff if someone's yelling. Maybe we can fiddle around with settings another time. But
there's noise suppression powered by Crisp.
Oh yeah, turn that off. Who knows what that is? Crisp. That sounds like AI.
I just turned it off.
Oh, that sounds terrible. Turn it back on. Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah, it's all good. Just be aware. Like if you talk like super fast, we might miss the first couple of things. You might go, what?
Okay.
Anyways.
I mean, can you change it to standard instead of crisp? I just changed mine. Is that better or worse?
You sound about the same, maybe a little bit quieter, which is okay. That's not terrible.
Good. Yeah. That's what you've been hoping for.
Yeah, we're gonna keep turning you down. Like who's the Metallica bassist that they just kept turning him down?
Jason Newsted.
Yeah, they just keep turning him down. That's all.
What a life it is to live as me.
Me
and Metallica.
You're like peas in a pod. All right, hey guys.
Freight train coming my way.
Oh jeez, like a freight train coming my way. Yeah. Welcome to the podcast, listeners. Just real quick off the very top, we've missed a few comments from Renee on our Patreon. She said of episode 556, the unedited episode, of course, which she has access to as a patron. She says, "Hey, I guess I'm one of the few that read Dark Disciple. Lol, I actually liked it. Asajj is a great character. Yeah. We should put that on our list for book club. We haven't done a Star Wars book in a while. What do you think about that, Devon? Devon hates it.
How long is it?
It's a book. It's, I don't know, a couple inches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really have no idea how long it is. She says it's great. And I have heard that online various places. So maybe we'll put it on our list to read somewhere down the line.
I'd like that.
Yeah. She also says, if you ever come up to Sonoma County, you should stop by my husband's store. He makes and repairs jewelry in-house. With your ring making skills, you might find it interesting. I do find that interesting, Renee. And if I'm ever up there, I will do that. I will kick in his door and say, hey, look at my ring. It's made out of iron. And he'll go, who are you? You call the police on me. It'll be great.
Yeah, I think that it may start just a little, the kick down the door.
Is that the part I should edit out? I shouldn't kick down the door.
I mean, you can keep it in the podcast, but
is there another way to enter a room? Because that's the only way I know.
Okay, there's the Kool-Aid Man way.
Yeah, that's through the wall, which is better.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I don't think I'm as strong as a giant pitcher of sugar water. Close.
There's the Flash way.
What's the Flash way?
Well, it's where you vibrate at the exact frequency, so you pass through all solid matter.
Okay, so I need to drink a lot more caffeine, and then
get you some surge.
Some surge. Oh, full of carbos.
Full of carbos. What is this podcast?
Okay, last thing. I'll tell you what this podcast is. From last week, episode 557, she says, quote, I love your Star Wars discussion.
Oh,
well,
wow.
we love you, Renee.
True.
Because you were the only one that enjoyed it.
Because
So
I
yeah,
knew
this week
I
we're
knew it
going
was
to talk
a dark and
about the Star
terrible.
Trek movies. We're going to compare the original series movies to the next gen and J.J. Abrams films. So
Good night, everybody. I'm out.
Yeah, let's go. Hey, here's one that
Yeah, it's something that I'm interested in, says Ben.
I mean, like, honestly, I think that my take on this is about as spicy as it was with the sequels and prequels. So,
Oh my gosh. All right. When is Star Trek Day? We'll do that then.
we'll figure it out.
We'll
Yeah,
do
we
that.
passed First Contact Day this year, but oh no, in September there's like
What is it?
there's the Star Trek Day. Yeah, because it's like the celebrating the airing of the first episode of the
Oh,
original
okay.
series.
All right. So yeah, look forward to that, everyone. Could you hear my eyes roll when I said that?
You know what, Steven, you got to come over some, and we'll have our marathon.
Sure.
We'll watch all the Star Trek movies. Let's go.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I remember the time that I forced you to sit down and watch Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country with me.
I remember
And we got
that.
to the end of it. Yeah, we got to the end of it, and you were like, Ben, that wasn't a good Star Trek movie. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And you're like, that was just a good movie in general. Like, it could be in anything. It could be in,
Oh, I
it
said
doesn't need to be
that?
Star Trek. Yeah, you were like, that was a really good movie,
Huh.
but it just happened to be a Star Trek movie.
Okay, that sounds
it-
like
there
that
was-
sounds like the kind of burn I would make. Yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing special about it. Like the special parts about it had nothing to do with it being Star Trek. It had everything with it to do with it being a great movie
Mhm.
that just happened to be set in the Star Trek universe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was like, huh,
Yeah.
get out of my house. Is what I told you.
Yeah, and I left. High fived my wife, and we took off.
You kicked the door down.
I kicked the door. No, I left, put the door back on its hinges, and said goodbye. All right. Well, since we're talking about nonsense, and let's talk about the Andor finale real quick. So, Ben, you haven't watched because you are currently doing a rewatch with your son of the first season, which
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Yes. It's so good, you guys.
It's, hey, the best is yet to come. Yeah, that first
I
season.
love that song too.
What song?
The best is yet to come. I could sing it for you, but we can keep on recording a podcast.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, first season of Andor, of course, amazing piece of television. And now Andor season 2, this last week was the finale, the last story arc. Like, come on, guys, we just got 4 Star Wars movies this month. Like, come on, that was amazing. Yeah, this one was this. I think and Devon, you can probably back me up on this. I imagine the third story arc was the best.
Yeah.
That's where the really edge of your seat, nail biting action and the culmination of the previous 2 arcs really hit.
Well, that's
hard.
the thing is after that happens, I was like, well, then what's the rest of the show going to be? Because the whole series was, or this whole season was building up to this. I mean, the rest of the series was good too, but it was just kind of interesting because I'm like, this felt like it should have been the finale.
Yeah. It
Just
kind
as a
of
season, not. I mean, obviously they were connecting everything up to Rogue One. That's fine. I'm just saying, say they were gonna have a third season. I could feel like they might have written it to where that was the finale of the season, and then you have another season. But
for sure. Yeah.
it was good. It was really good, and the rest of it was good too. I'm not putting down what followed. That was really good too.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. The last story arc really was like an epilogue / prologue, an epilogue to the Andor show and a prologue to Rogue One. It's that connective tissue between the 2 stories. And, they took their time with it. They took, the 3 episodes to do it. They dove into some backstory, some flashbacks and backstory, which was kind of nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the episode that followed that third arc where it was mostly in the hospital, I think that's also the one with the flashbacks, right?
Yeah, showing
that felt that was a conclusion to one of the main characters' arcs, which is really important, but also almost felt like a standalone episode because it was kind of like one character doing a particular mission with the flashbacks and connecting those 2 characters, and there wasn't a lot else going on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that was a good episode though too.
It almost felt like that bit of story was like written, and then they're like, okay, where do we place this in the season? because what's his name? Gay. What was his name? Luthen. Yeah. Was his Real? Luthen Real. Yeah. So yeah, Luthen's like his backstory, or him and Clea, their whole relationship kind of could have been put in wherever, but where it was placed was perfect because she's on a mission to finalize his story arc. At the same time, you're learning how they kind of came together originally in a beautiful set of flashbacks. And you're like, okay, this is cool. And you didn't need anything else, right? It was those two sides of that story. It finished Luthen's story. It kind of finished Clea's story a bit. And then you kind of just move on. And there's still, Clea is still there. But she doesn't really have much more to do other than give Vel a reason to keep going in a way. Anyways, that was really cool. That was the first arc, or the first episode. What was the second one?
Well, then Andor has to come back to Coruscant for her.
Oh, to go pick her up. That's right. And
Because
so then they set off the alarm. That's like, hey, the old radios. That's what happened. Right. The old contact radios. They plug all those in, and Cassian thinks that it's Luthen calling for a pickup. And then when he gets there, and there's a lot of that spy game stuff of like, oh, and something that that was brought up in one of those spoiler YouTube things that I watch. The knock, their secret knock, was the same one from Ferrix when like danger was coming and they'd bang on the stuff around Ferrix. Do you remember that? Ben, you must remember that because you're watching the first season.
Yeah.
When the Imperials are coming and they're like banging on stuff around town, like dun 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 dun, like that special beat. That's their secret knock on that door, Devon. So, anyways, that was like a fun little connection between the two seasons.
Yeah.
Look, K2SO is the best Star Wars character, and I'll fight on that hill.
Well, I saw some stuff because after I watched it, I was looking up some things online just because I was interested, like watching videos on, like just whatever recaps of
recaps, behind the
episodes.
Scenes, all that stuff. Sure.
Yeah, and so they mentioned that Disney's, I guess, original idea was just Andor and K2SO going on like a new mission every episode. Sounded kind of like
a buddy cop movie, right?
Like the Mandalorian kind of thing. Like every episode was more standalone. And then Gareth Edwards or the other guy. There's two guys involved, but
Gareth Edwards was the director of Rogue One, and then
but he was involved with Andor, right?
I don't know. Tony Gilroy was a writer. Suddenly I got
so Tony Gilroy, I guess is who.
I think that's who you're thinking of.
He was like, well, we can't have K2SO go on missions because it's too obvious. Like he stands out, so he would just be staying back in the shuttle the whole time, which is what happened when they finally did use him. He mostly was just staying back in the shuttle until he was needed. So it's like you can't just have those two guys going on missions all the times. But of course, K2SO is one, like you said, one of the best characters. So it is kind of unfortunate we only get the little we get. But it makes a lot more sense. If he was just through the whole season, it'd be a different show.
It'd be too much. Also, like you got to think of the logistics, and you've got this giant special effect that you have to deal with. And I think probably what makes it better is that you only get him a little bit, right? He would probably get annoying if he was in every single scene. But when you just get him these little bits of him, and his sharp, like witty things that he says, Alan Tudyk says, like, it's great because he's like a child that just says whatever he wants to. And it's not to like put anyone down. He's just saying things like, this is how it is, or this is how I see it. And he said that, that was one of the reasons why he loves that character. And that's right. Like, and when he needs to show up and do stuff, oh man, does he show up and do stuff? It's great. That's a cool droid. And then the finale is pretty much just the lead up to Rogue One, where they're like, hey, we finally got the information about what's going on. which is like the info dump of like, hey, Stardust, Death Star, Galen Erso, like here are the important things that, and then that kind of sets in motion of like, hey, Cassian, you need to go and like talk to a guy and like confirm this information and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And that's like the beginning of Rogue One. So it all really does just kind of move forward and connect, and you got the Saw Gerrera connections, and he's like, you don't know where I am. And you're like, yeah, we do know where you are. You're on Jeddah. Like, and it's, it's great. And the fact that he's huffing starfighter fuel, and that's why he's crazy. Sorry, spoilers, Ben, but man, that was cool. Yeah, there's one episode in season 2 where you're like, what's this guy's deal? And then they show what his deal is, and you're like, oh, he's on drugs.
Yeah.
Like that makes way more sense. Anyways, all right. Andor finale was wonderful and beautiful, and I think most people, and so prepare yourself for this, Ben, and anyone else who hasn't gotten there yet. When you finish Andor season 2, the last episode, get ready to just press play on Rogue One, because that's what you're going to want to do.
Nice.
And it feels really good. It almost, so I did that, right? It was super late at night. That's when I was off on the air, because I had to watch all 3 episodes that night, right? I watched all 3 episodes, and I was like, oh, okay, Rogue One. Start watching it. The thing that throws you off is like it starts off like 10 years before, because it's the Jyn Erso story, right? It's not Cassian's story.
Yeah.
But as you're watching it, coming off of the show Andor, it just feels like another episode. It's like, because the show was so well produced and was so good, it just feels like another episode. It's like, okay, wow, they kind of upped the budget for this one.
It's still a movie. Like, I liked Rogue One when it came out, and I still really like Rogue One now, having watched it after Andor. And I do think they complement each other very well. There are some like stylistic things that are slightly different, but it's just because of the TV show versus a movie and what you can and can't do. And in the TV show, of course, you had long scenes with characters talking and being emotional, but in a movie, you don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So everything was like, you know, the dialogue.
Go here, go there, go over here. Let's go.
None of the scenes like really breathe.
Yeah.
The dialogue is a lot shorter because you have multiple characters. You can't spend time developing each character.
Yeah.
Which is why Andor exists, because now that has already been done. So it definitely feels more like a movie, and it doesn't feel. I could sense a pretty, I don't want to say stark difference, because it is still.
There's a tonal shift. It feels it feels more rushed, which tonally that makes sense.
That's what it is. It's a movie.
Yeah. It will
It's
not only that,
it was made before Andor, so they had to still have some. They had to reestablish a lot of stuff. So that's the thing, is like in Rogue One, when people are like surprised about information or seemingly surprised about information, you're like, well, you kind of already knew that, so maybe you shouldn't have been so surprised. But you could also be like, oh, well, they're just acting that way because they don't want people to know they already knew. But, you know, it was a little, but that's just the nature of how it was made and when it came out. And you could still explain it away, just being like, oh, no, they're just acting that way. They know already.
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of prestige television, like the final episode of a season that's a culminating arc, is like all of the action stuff. It's all the really quick and witty, you know, like it is the movie, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Lower Decks, they kind of made a spectacle out of the last episode of every season and actually called them movies, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like to see it as the culmination of everything that's Andor, just presented to us many years before the fact.
Well, yeah, because TV shows, popular TV shows, always have a lot of trouble having a good last episode. There's, you know, very few that are able to pull it off. And here's a situation where you did that first. And so it's like, well, we don't have to worry about the last episode, because we already know we did it and it was pretty good. So we don't have to worry about people criticizing us for not sticking the landing, because we already did it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was kind of surprised that they didn't. like I can see why they didn't have more cameos and stuff because it is a very like serious show. However, since they did establish in Rogue One that the Ghost, Hera, and Chopper were at Yavin 4, I thought we were going to get a little like Hera Syndulla cameo since now she's cast for the Ahsoka show, right? I thought we were going to like get her like just like a line or a pass through the hallway, like something to because we know that she's there. But they didn't do that. I was like, okay,
They also
and that's
said,
fine.
I guess I got Tony Gilroy and Gareth Edwards mixed up. But whoever's in charge of Andor said
Gilroy.
he would not. Yeah, Tony Gilroy. He would not do Easter eggs like add in characters like that unless it had something to do with the story.
Yeah, and that's fine.
And so I'm glad they didn't do that. And in Rogue One, when you see the two guys from Tatooine,
Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba, yeah.
I mean, it's like that. It's like, why are they there? Come on, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's silly. But then you do have R2 and
nice
C3PO.
That they didn't do that. What? Oh, and C3PO and R2, that's fine. I mean, in Rogue One, it's fine again because it's a different had a different purpose, especially for when it came out. But I'm glad none of that stuff was in Andor. And if it was, I would want it to be very subtle. Like if Hera walked by, I want it to be like they don't even pan the camera to her. Like she just like kind of walks by, and you're like, if you knew, you knew, but they don't make a big deal out of it. That would have been fine. But like pan over to be like, oh, look whose that is. Like,
well, there were a few times when you had like a group of people like around a table talking, and I thought they'd just like have her in the group of people, like maybe not even say a line, but just be like, well, I'm a general, so I'm here with everyone else talking. Yeah. Because she's General Syndulla. We have General Dodonna there. Like, why wouldn't she be there? But then, like, they don't have the Ghost there on Yavin. And so that's like, oh, fine. She's off doing something. She's not there yet. It's fine. No big deal. I was just kind of like, I wonder if they're going to do that. And they didn't. And that's fine. That was okay. Just because now she's cast. And so it would like, okay, well, we have the character. We have an actor to do that now. Just like they took Genevieve O'Reilly as like from this cut content from episode 3, and now she has been Mon Mothma through Rebels, Rogue One, the Andor series, and now she is Mon Mothma, Anyways, pretty cool. All right, let's move on from that. That's too much Andor talk. Andor was great. Go watch it if you haven't. Sorry if we spoiled anything. Ben, you did stuff this week as well. What were you doing?
So everybody, I went to science camp, 6th grade science camp. I was a chaperone at the outdoor school in Rancho Alegre, which is in San Ynez.
Fantastic.
And it was great. Yeah.
Did you learn science?
It was a lot of fun. Did I learn science? A little bit of science? Yeah.
That's good.
Says you're jet lag. Did you go to a different time zone?
I did not go to a different time zone. No. In my notes, I wrote that I was feeling jet lag. But so like during the week, it was super cool because I did some archery, some mountain biking. There were some night hikes. There was one evening where they, a spoiler alert, because I'm pretty sure that incoming 5th graders are not listening to this show, so
they really shouldn't be.
But this is don't tell them that this is what happens. But like, so there were several times where people could, like the kids could sign up for different activities. And so there was a nighttime hike that involved, like, one of the activities was the Old Man Murphy story, where it's like, it's meant to be like a little scary, like if you want to be a little creeped out, go on this hike,
the haunted hike.
And so yeah. And then there were a couple other items. And one of the other options was to go bat counting and to do some research for the University of California, Santa Barbara, in kind of identifying and counting bats for their scientific research.
That's cool.
So one of the kids in my cabin decided to do the bat counting, and I was so glad he did, because it gave me an opportunity to go on that one as well, where basically they, after about 15 minutes of bat counting, then they're like, all right, here's the deal. Can you guys be like super secret agents and be super quiet? Because we are going to scare the living daylights out of the like we basically hid in bushes, and one of the chaperones wore an Old Man Murphy mask and
Oh
waited
my
for the Old
gosh.
Man Murphy group to go by, and then we jumped out of the bushes and made a bunch of noise, and it was incredible.
Wow, that's
Uh,
frightening.
Yeah, but that's your typical science camp, 6th grade science camp stuff.
Did you guys go to 6th grade science camp?
I did, yeah.
Devon?
And Camp Palmer.
When was it? No. Well, I
It
guess
would
it
have been in
wasn't
6th grade then.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to
When
think.
was that?
It was a one night thing. Yeah, in 6th grade we did.
I did
And
not.
probably
get
the
to go
same
to
area
science
you
camp.
went to. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Steven,
I grew up the same place you live.
Steven, did you do one?
No, I broke my leg in 6th grade, and so I missed out
Dude.
on science camp. Yeah, never did that.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it's not a foregone conclusion. It is something that requires funding in order to do, and not all schools have that funding. Next couple of years, the promise of federal funding is all but non-existent for
No.
Federal funding
for our
anything.
kids. Yeah. So if that is something, if you got a kid, or if you want to keep on seeing these programs continue, do get involved. Donations are very helpful. Helping out with your local PTA organizations to help fundraise for these things will be really, really, really important if you'd like to see this continue.
I mean, there are cheaper ways to scare your children, is what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm saying that was a highlight of it.
Turn on the news.
Yeah, just have them watch the news for the new quote unquote the news.
Yes, indeed. So I got done with the 4 days there, 3 nights, and I was suitably wiped out, as my son was too. And so on Saturday, I had my monthly 3rd Saturday of the month poetry reading that I run on Google Meet, and I completely forgot. My mom texted me, and she's like, "Hey, are you coming? Because I'm starting this." Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, and it was a little embarrassing, but I apologize to all the poets that had to wait and not see me the first 15 minutes of the show. Yeah, that was my week.
Dare you?
Yeah, right. Hey, you know what? This was the first time in 5 years that I that I was
happened?
late. Yeah.
Fired. Go to immediate jail. Immediately go to jail.
Do not pass go.
No go.
Do not collect $200.
Exactly. Did you guys see that? This is completely off topic. They did a study with Monopoly. Did you guys see this thing? It was like making the rounds a few weeks ago. Yes, no?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So they took the game Monopoly and they took a bunch of college students. And what they did is they changed the game to essentially have it be like people that inherited wealth versus the poor, and and how they would interact with each other. Like, for example, the rich, the quote unquote rich, started with like more money, and I believe they got something else that was like unique to they got to roll 2 dice to move instead of 1, I think. And then the poors just rolled 1 dice to move, and when they passed go, they only got $100, not $200. And they found very quickly that the rich, the rich, the ones that were born into money and born into wealth and privilege, they almost immediately started acting like jerks and entitled, and it was just like wow. It was kind of a incredible, like, yeah, that's what we've been seeing, and now
it's bad, but here's how bad.
Yeah, and just a
So
little.
I was looking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was looking at other short stories by the same author who's doing the short stories we're reading right now, Ted Chiang.
Mm-hmm.
And because the book we're reading from was published in 2002, and so all the stories in there are like kind of old. I'm like, well, is he still writing stuff? So I looked it up, and his most recent short story, which came out in 2019, is called "It's 2059 and the Rich Kids Are Still Winning." And the plot summary is, in the future, scientists conduct an experiment to genetically modify poor children to improve their intelligence so they have a better chance to succeed in life. While the experiment proves to be successful and the children's IQs increases, they still fail to achieve social progress because the entire state system favors the rich only.
Wow.
Sounds like a book exactly about what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. We are still terrible people. All right, let's move on. Let's go on. We're half an hour in. Let's talk about some science. This is a podcast about science and science fiction. I know we talked about some sci-fi. Let's get into the science. I am going to go first because I declared it. So I'm calling this one Hand, Fingers, Thumb. You guys remember that book from Mr. Seuss?
Hands, your thumb?
Yeah, it's a kid's book. It's like a counting thing, and they're like the playing drums. There's monkeys playing drums, is what it is. Apes, I guess. Anyways, this article comes from Science Daily. It was published on May 9th. And the title is "Chimpanzee Groups Drum with Distinct Rhythms." So new research from a team of cognitive scientists and evolutionary biologists find that chimpanzees drum rhythmically using regular spacing between drum hits. Their results show that eastern and western chimpanzees, two distinct subspecies, drum with distinguishable rhythms. The researchers say these findings suggest that the building blocks of human musicality arose in a common ancestor of chimpanzees and humans. So,
Wow.
it's pretty interesting. Let's see. Earlier studies showed that chimpanzees produce low-frequency sounds by drumming on buttress roots, large, wide roots that grow above the soil. The researchers suggest that the chimps use these percussive patterns to send information over both long and short distances. Quote, our previous studies show that each chimpanzee has their own unique drumming style and that drumming helps to keep others in their group updated about where they are and what they're doing. A sort of way to check in across the rainforest. What we didn't know was whether chimpanzees living in different groups have different drumming styles and whether their drumming is rhythmic like in human music. So that quote is from Eleuteri, which is a lead author, Vesta Eleuteri of the University of Vienna, Austria. I'm sure I'm butchering that name, and I apologize. Let's see. So her team, including senior authors Catherine Hobater of the University of St. Andrews in the UK and Andrea Ravagianani of Sapienza University in Rome, teamed up with other chimpanzee researchers to study 371 drumming bouts in 11 chimpanzee communities, including 6 populations and 2 subspecies. So that's pretty robust study, I think. That seems just a decent number. After analyzing the drum patterns, they found that chimpanzees drum with rhythm and that the timing of their hits is non-random and often evenly spaced. Eastern and Western subspecies also exhibited different drumming patterns. Western chimpanzees used evenly spaced hits, while Eastern chimpanzees more often alternated between hits at shorter and longer time intervals. They also found that Western chimpanzees hit their drums more using a faster tempo and integrated their drumming earlier in their pant-hoot vocalizations. Just kind of an interesting study. Whenever we find something common in humanity in animals, that's always interesting, right? When we find out, oh, hey, look, this thing can talk, or this thing is communicating, or stuff that humans can understand. And this is pretty cool. Chimpanzees drum, and they do it on purpose and in a real way. I'm curious if primates drumming has anything to do with heartbeats. Like where do we get this internal rhythmic sense? And the only thing that I could think of, somebody who's not a scientist, is that we can very easily feel our own heartbeats, right? We focus on it. You can feel a certain part of your body, and a heart rate is consistent. It should be. If it's not, go to your doctor immediately. Um,
Well, I mean, there's that. There's also the pendulum swinging of your limbs as
oh,
well.
a walking gait. That's right. That's
A
kind of
walking gait, or even like, whenever your foot bounces on, on the ground, like it's kind of like a pendulumic rhythm.
rhythms. Yeah, rhythms occur in
Yeah.
nature, and if you're paying attention to them, you can recreate like raindrops and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
there are things in nature that have a rhythmicality to them that when you are able to recognize that and then also repeat it in a consciously, like that's very interesting. So,
Well, I
anyways,
mean, like just us rocking back and forth as a soothing mechanism, like it doesn't take much to have that translate into drum beats.
well,
as well.
even that is that rocking back and forth simulates you in your mother's womb when she was walking. That's why that's comforting to babies.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and even like heartbeat thumping noises is the same thing because they're used to hearing the mother's heartbeat. So a lot of like
Right.
infant soothing things will have like a beat to them sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Did you know that the longest drum solo in history was 6 hours 28 minutes?
which band
It
was that?
performed
Devin?
on.
which prog rock was that?
Yeah.
Do you have
Well,
that?
it was
6
performed
hours?
by my son as we were driving down to San Diego on the seat behind me.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Is that
Thanks.
did that really happen?
Oh, yes, I'm certain.
Now, I believe you
You
said
know.
recorded. Can we hear that? Did you record?
I'll find. Yeah. I got the recording right here.
Okay.
Let's go. This episode brought to you by the agonizing screams of an exhausted parent driving cross country.
Oh boy. All right, who wants to take the next one?
Yo, Devon, I want to hear about this story. Will you go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. It kind of fits in with what we were talking about before, just politics and federal funding. So this will be political.
Should we have a warning, like a sounder, like womp womp, political politics?
the red alert.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I know it's stuff we're all sick of hearing about or don't want to hear about because it's too depressing. It's funny. So it has to do with Donald Trump and budget proposals. The article I'm using is from science.org. And the article is Trump's proposed budget would mean disastrous cuts to science. And they go through different areas, the NIH, NSF, Department of Energy, NASA, National Oceanography, or NOAA, and they go on and on. And this probably doesn't even cover all of it. I was going to focus on NASA this time because that's what I was interested in when I was looking for this article. But I just also wanted to say in general, I mean, I absolutely loathe Trump, as does my wife, and she's not very political, but lately she's been like, can you believe this is happening and this is happening? I'm like, yeah, no, I can't believe it's happening, and
nobody can, and yet it persists.
We've become very open with our kids about how we feel about it. So it's kind of funny because they will ask questions like, why is Trump doing this? Why is Trump doing that? And we're try to be diplomatic, but we're just like, because I don't know what we would say. It depends on the question, but it's just funny because we're open with our kids about it, and we're like, maybe not bring it up at school so much because we do live in a conservative area, so we're not sure how other people would take it. But one question my son Nolan asked yesterday, actually it might have been this morning, because we also talk about religion, and I'm open about my atheism, though I don't force it on them. I just say what I believe. It's funny because Nolan definitely is more like me, but our youngest one so far is still like, well, why wouldn't you believe in God? Because he's heard about it from his cousins, and he does go to a religious preschool. Although next year he's going to a public school, so hopefully he'll stop being.
That'll be just
subjected
as
to it.
religious, depending on how things go.
Yeah. Oh, there's all. Yeah, the Ten Commandments thing. And yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So
Um.
what did he?
Actually, no.
What did your kid ask? I want to know.
Yes. Does Trump believe in God? And I said,
Oh.
I'm like, well, I don't know. He will say he does, because that's his base is the evangelical Christians. So he'll definitely say he does. I think, and this is part of my bias in that I think he's a hollow, you know, unthinking, just
He was asked this.
husk of a person. I don't think he's ever given it a serious consideration, and I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
He had said, and this is shortly after the assassination attempts. He was asked, "Do you believe in God?" And he said that he thinks it's so great that so many people are praying for him.
Oh, so he didn't
answer the question, like always.
Yeah, he didn't answer the question, but it's funny because even then, that doesn't tell you because he just answers. His answers to most things are incoherent. Right. So,
yes,
what did he mean? What does he think? Who knows? So I don't know. Maybe he does, but I don't think he's ever considered taking anything like that seriously.
No,
and so it doesn't matter to him as long as he's in control and he's rich and powerful and famous. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
What does it matter?
I can't believe that the fact that interview, that I watched a portion of it and that it remained in my head for me to answer that question.
Yeah, it's actually
really
useful.
Ridiculously, like that's we are being made dumber by the day by the sorts of things that live rent free in our head. What does it matter if the president believes in God or not? Like that is completely and utterly like, other than the fact that it matters to a great deal of people, it should not matter to anybody. It doesn't matter to me, but it's like, it's just as
yeah, I agree. I would vote for somebody who like genuinely believes in God. I would vote for somebody who genuinely believes in God, even though I might disagree with them about that in particular. If they're, proposing policies I agree with and they are objectively a good person, then fine. I don't care what you believe. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter if Trump believes in God or doesn't believe in God. It's what he's doing that matters.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back on track. What is happening with the budget cuts, and why is that good or bad?
It's very bad. And I guess, so I want to focus on NASA just because that's what I'm doing. So as you guys know, we have had plans to go back to the moon for a while now, and they've been actively like in development. It's going on. Like I think the original plan was actually have a launch already occur, but it's been pushed back, I think, to 2026 for going back to the moon. And then the plan is to actually have a space station orbiting the moon, which would be awesome because that would be, the first space station orbiting something other than Earth. And that's a jumping off point to other, Mars and other things in the solar system. So it's a huge advancement that, if we had we watch For All Mankind.
Yeah.
Like if we had done this, if we had gone to the moon back in the 60s and 70s and then stayed there and kept building and built a space station, like we would be at Mars by now and maybe further, just like in the TV show.
Yeah. I mean, the amount that NASA contributes to science that will then trickle down, pardon the pun, that will trickle down to the common man. The things that they develop for space travel then turn into things like calculators and home PCs and stuff. Like, that's amazing. That's good.
So this is exciting because we're finally getting back to there. We're finally going to the moon, establishing a base, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like in development. Like we're there. We're like, it's not just a proposal. It's happening. Or at least it was going to happen. So, this particular budget that's been proposed by Trump and is still going through Congress. So who knows? Hopefully it'll change, but probably not that much. So they're going to cut NASA's science budget by 53%, including eliminating $1.16 billion from Earth science programs, including funding for low priority climate monitoring. Oh, sorry, this is in quotes. Funding for low priority climate monitoring satellites, end quotes. Then $2.26 billion from space science, including termination of the quote unaffordable end quote Mars sample return mission, which seeks to bring rocks and soil samples back from a planet or from Mars to Earth, which would be the first time we've ever had that. And drastic cuts to science spending, which would inevitably force the agency to not only curtail missions in development, but also prematurely end otherwise healthy missions that are still returning data. And I'm mostly reading this word for word just because it's so important. But so the budget would drop by 24%, from 24.8 billion to 18.8 billion. It seeks to drastically revamp NASA's approach to human spaceflight, killing the quote grossly expensive end quote Space Launch System and Orion spacecraft after their first mission to land astronauts on the moon. So they are saying that we can go once, but we're not going to go back. And ending the Gateway Space Station, which according to this article says, which is nearing completion. So the space station is almost done. Obviously not in orbit around the moon, but it's being built. And so we have the station, the parts built at NASA, that's planned to orbit the moon. In place of those systems, NASA would rely on quote commercial end quote capabilities.
Ha!
And then this article, and this article even makes the point, in parentheses, currently the most important provider of commercial space services to NASA is SpaceX, run by close Trump ally Elon Musk.
There it is.
I
think a lot of the to understand the things, some of the things that Trump says, all you need to do is go, hi, I'm Trump. How does this make me money? Oh, this doesn't make me money? Well, this is unaffordable and it's a tax and this and blah, 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 blah. How would this make me money? Oh, it'll make my friend money. And then that friend will give me money. Well, then let's do that. Like that's all it is. It's really simple to understand this man.
So the last paragraph in this section about NASA goes through some other cuts for other things, but the last line is probably the most important and telling. The administration also seeks to fully eliminate the agency's Office of Education, arguing that, quote, NASA will inspire the next generation of explorers through exciting, ambitious space missions, not through subsidizing woke STEM programs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what the difference between woke, what's the opposite of that? Dreaming. Yeah, the opposite is unreality.
Yep.
It is
like not real.
Yeah. Woke means waking up to, oh my God. Okay.
No, it's just
in this whole article, then that's just the section on NASA. It goes through the details for cuts to all these other science-based agencies. It's horrific. It's very very sad. It's just
science is understanding the world around us. These people don't want to understand the world around us. They want to make money.
And these things cannot always be done by private industry. It takes too much money for things like space travel. Yes, there are some that are doing it, but to do massive projects like going to the moon and establishing bases on the moon is going to require funds from a country, a very large country or collection of countries. And these other things that are designed like NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, things that are meant to monitor like weather and, obviously climate trends, which they don't believe in, but these are things that there's no money in it. There's no profit to be made, but they have to be done in order to protect people. And the only way you can do that is using the government. But they don't believe in that. Again, they don't care, especially Trump just doesn't care.
Doesn't make him any money. He doesn't care. Yeah.
Yeah. And people who voted for him they don't care because they don't think this stuff's important. I mean, not all of them, but certainly his fanatical base agrees with him on this. They just don't get why this stuff is important. They either don't believe in it, which just because you don't believe in it doesn't make it true or not true. Like it's still there.
Yep.
And they don't realize the consequences that are eventually going to happen. I mean, it's
the first thing you do is you make the public stupid. And then whatever you tell them, they'll believe.
Which is what they're doing.
Which is exactly what's happening.
Funding to education. So the government, the public doesn't even know these are even issues to be worried about. And then you spend money on parades and other complete and utter bullshit. And I think this article starts off even saying like there's Was it here? Okay, overall, the partial calls for cuts. I thought it said something about the increase to defense spending. Of course, all these cuts are also going to be used for tax breaks and increase in defense spending, but I don't see the percentage in increase of defense spending. So the very, what you would expect someone like Trump to do to increase defense spending and, of course, tax breaks for the rich. So
Yeah, of
that's
course.
why we're cutting all this money that's for these completely legitimate, well-needed things, just so we can make the rich richer.
All right. I'm going to cut you off there. Ben, take us to a better place, please. Can you?
Yeah. I think it would be.
Thank you, Devon. That was
Thank you,
good.
Devon.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah.
It's
Over.
it's.
Did I say
it's not
something needs
great.
to be bleeped? You put in the notes bleep. Did I say something?
yeah, you cursed, and I was going to take it out.
Wow. I did it like I didn't. Normally when I curse on the show, I do it intentionally to make you have to bleep it. Like I didn't even realize I did something that needed to be bleeped.
That's fine.
Wow.
Anyway,
I didn't call attention to it, but now you did. So I gotta do a lot of editing now, or I won't.
Or you won't.
you don't.
Yeah. Ain't no thing. My friends, I've seen a movie recently. It's called Piece by Piece, and it is a documentary comedy. Co-written, co-produced, and directed by Morgan Neville, but it's about the life and career of American musician Pharrell Williams. You might know Pharrell from, well, I'll tell you, after watching this film, you will be surprised how much you know about Pharrell's musicianship because of the number of artists that he has produced and worked with and made some of the most amazing pop music of the last 30 years. But
30 years?
Yeah.
I am surprised. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this film is really it's really fascinating from that perspective, but it's also really interesting because it is a film made in Lego.
Yes.
It is the sixth theatrically released Lego film. And it's absolutely incredible. It is worth your time. It has a little bit of swearing in it. Basically,
what doesn't nowadays, Devon?
Yeah. Evidently, this podcast now. But this film is so good. I have it's difficult to put into words, but I'll tell you, it starts off with kind of the reason. It being in Lego allows for it to be demonstrative of the process of creativity in a way that another biodoc could not be.
Okay.
So it all starts about Pharrell growing up in Virginia Beach, living in the housing projects with his parents, and he has synesthesia, which allows him to see colors in music. And so there's a scene where he's listening to Stevie Wonder, and it's just the most incredible thing, that the visuals that are happening around him as a little boy. And he's like, I just thought that's how Black kids saw music, I didn't know.
Oh, he's racist? No, sorry.
No, it's just that, but that's kind of the quote in it.
Yeah.
It's just,
you just
right?
thought that's how it
And
was.
so-
Yeah, when you don't know, you just think everyone's got it. Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly. When you're a kid, you think everybody's got it. So he and
like how we all have those voices telling you to kill and burn things down. We just all ignore those, right?
Yeah, we all just deal with those.
Unless
on a
they
daily
call me
basis.
Batman, which is my.
And we all have those.
Swear to me. Oh, sorry, I let a voice out.
So yeah, he's struggling in school a little bit academically, but he's hanging out with his scene, his friends in high school, which includes Missy Elliott, Pusha T, and Timbaland, and they're all hanging out, making music, just having fun and making music, and then ends up basically producing a lot of stuff that you would recognize. So I mean, it's just that's how it all starts. But through it, there are a couple of really, and I kind of have some links to some interesting parts. Like, check out the trailer. If you want to go in cold, go in cold. You're gonna have a great time, right? But through it, I found a couple of clips from the film that were really absolutely incredible. There's this one where kind of about 2/3 of the way through the film, he's been encouraged by the labels to produce more and more music and to just like make cookie cutter songs for, for like, oh, here's a bunch of love songs, that you can market to
Right,
different
yeah.
people, right?
Here's
Yeah,
party
and just like,
songs. Here's songs
yeah,
about whatever. Yeah.
exactly.
Got
And
it.
he like, nobody wants the music. They're like, this isn't really that good. And so he's like creatively bankrupt. And he it ends up coming out in a scene which plays out with him getting washed away in a giant torrent of everybody's expectations from him, until he gets sucked into a whirlpool and ends up as an astronaut in the middle of space. And Carl Sagan starts talking to him,
Whoa.
and starts going through the pale blue dot,
That's beautiful.
thing that he does.
Yeah.
And it's the most amazing. So he's floating in space, and then he gets picked up by a giant spaceship, beamed aboard, and that's when Daft Punk shows up and his collaboration with them in Get Lucky.
Wow.
Like, that was him coming back after all this like lack of creativity.
So
yeah, and it's like a pivotal moment.
So the way that Pharrell sees music, synesthesia as color, is we see his life through Lego in this creative way. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Is this something that like my kids would be interested in? Like, even though they don't get like, that it's a true story or whatever, would it be entertaining for them?
Yeah. I watch it. Well, okay, so I watch it with Flint. I would say there is one scene where they drop the S word, starts with S, ends with T, comes out of you, comes out of me. But sorry, camp song.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's on Peacock. Okay, cool.
Rad. Okay, that's neat. Excellent. Yeah, but I really enjoyed it. I think that everyone should watch it. And the point at which that part happens is actually from another clip that I have here, where he's talking about the process by which he made the song Happy for Despicable Me, and the number of like creative like the number of times that DreamWorks told him, hey, go back to the drawing board. He made probably like 12 or 13 different songs for them before they settled on Happy.
Wow.
And then it comes out amidst the George Floyd process.
Ooh.
And and so he says, and I apologize, here's a part that you may want to bleep out, or you may not, because I think it's perfectly applicable. But he says in the film that people relate to Happy because they've been through some shit.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, there's no other way that you can talk about it without that word, right?
Yeah. That's
I'm tearing up just thinking about
an
it.
appropriate use. Yeah. So Devon, would your kids enjoy this? I would posit, having not seen this movie and just knowing how documentaries be and how kids connect with music, I believe they'll be bored until they hear music they recognize or the visuals are exciting.
They're big fans of Despicable Me and the Minions movies, so references to those would help also. Are when they're interviewing people, is that done by Lego also, or is it like live action and then you see the story in Lego?
There is nothing in it that is not Lego. Okay. It is a Lego movie.
So you get Lego Snoop Dogg and Lego everybody.
And Lego Gwen Stefani, Lego because all that weird pop music that No Doubt started making. That was Pharrell.
Pharrell. Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it.
That's
Pharrell.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes.
My kids
Like-
love McDonald's. They love what's it?
Do they love
Just
to
a Girl?
go bananas?
That the song's called?
BANANAS.
Oh, it would have been after the Just a Girl phase. It would have been the Hollaback Girl and
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
That era
without a doubt.
where things changed.
Yeah, where things changed. And but like, and you were like, why is all this music kind of sounding really silly in a particular way across a lot of different genres?
Pharrell.
That's Pharrell. That's the Neptunes. That's, which is him and another one of his and his friend Chad that get together. So I mean, like, the two clips that I've linked to in here in the notes are like from later in the film, but the
Mhm.
beginning of the film is just as remarkable. Like, it is a solid, transcendent experience of the film. Watching not just the history of music and all this stuff that really I'm glad that I know now. Like gave me a different perspective on the last 30 years of pop music and what it meant to grow up in the 80s and all the things that we've been seeing, like from a pop culture perspective, but that also the ways in which, like, it's not about being a genius. It's about what Austin Kleon, my hero, calls being a genius, being around people that push you to being, and play with creativity. Yeah, it's
Great.
It's super good, and I can't believe, like, I'm curious if it's not as well known because it's about a black guy. Like I hadn't heard about it until my mom was like, "Hey, have you heard of this movie?" And I'm like, "No, like that sounds kind of weird." And she's, she played me a trailer. I'm like, "How did I not see this?" Because it's legitimately like, I mean,
I remember
you know
seeing
how-
trailers for it and going like, that's
Did you?
interesting, but I don't know anything about Pharrell. Like, I have no connection. Seemingly, I have no connection. Like, I never bought one of his albums. Like, I know Lego stuff, but all these people that are showing up in this trailer, like, I don't really know who they are. So I didn't put that much effort into, researching it or whatever. Just like, oh, okay, this is a documentary done in Lego. That's interesting. I like Lego. About people I don't know. Huh. Okay. Well, we'll see. And then that was it. And then it came and it went. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyhow, it's worth your time, especially
Awesome.
if you're into creativity and you're into music and you're into pop culture. Like, it was, yeah. I'm planning on buying it on Blu-ray.
Right
And
on, man.
that's-
Are you
that's
gonna buy the accompanying Lego set?
if I could get the man, what set would I get there? Because they made a lot of like custom Lego, like the Lego group made a lot of custom stuff for the film.
Well, they also
in
put
terms
out
of-
a Lego set for the film.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
like
cool.
it's like a spaceship blasting off, but like instead of fire coming out the end, it's like colors and stuff, and it comes with a little Pharrell, I believe.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's a set that you can get, so that's get that,
Interesting.
and then put your copy of the Blu-ray next to it, make a little shrine. It'll be great. I need to cut this off. We're already over an
All right.
hour in, and we still have book club. We have to take a break. I have to go to the bathroom. So here's the plan going forward, y'all. After the break, we're doing book club. We're talking about the evolution of human science, not the real evolution of human science, but the story by Ted Chiang. So listen or read your copy of that. And we'll be right back. You ever notice how everyone in sci-fi movies has a secret society they belong to? The Jedi, the Bene Gesserit, the Illuminati, or whatever? Well, guess what? So do we. It's called our Patreon, and if you join at patreon.com/sciencefactionpodcast, you'll get access to exclusive content, our Discord, and knowledge that normal listeners will never understand. Join us, or remain in the dark. Your call. And we're back.
Ayo.
Bye.
And a big thank you to our patrons, Renee and Josh. Way to go. You guys rock.
They're real
Keep it up. Thank you.
MVPs. We love them.
Yeah. Forget us.
We're awful. Our
We're just
patrons,
good.
better. All right.
So next week, we are going to be reading Liking What You See, another story from this same collection by Ted Chiang. This collection is called Stories of Your Life and Others. It's about a 1.5 hour long Audible, so buckle in. But
put your ears in, which is what I say about earbuds. Put your ears in and go for a walk. Get out there, get moving, get off your behind.
Right.
And,
or read it.
It also doesn't have to take that long. You can increase the speed.
No.
At twice the speed, it's only 45 minutes. So.
Well, okay.
Oh.
Well, at a quarter or 75%, however you want to say it, it's even shorter. And then sometimes I go into my wife's car because she's going.
Could be
don't
like this.
stop. Oh. Sometimes I'll hop in the wife's car because we're going somewhere, and her audiobook connects, and she's got it going that fast, and it just feels like a wall of words slapping me in the eyes. It's I'm like, whoa, what's happening? She's like,
we've
what?
discussed this before. When you're used to it, it doesn't sound that way.
Exactly.
And then when you go back to regular speed, it sounds like the person's drunk. So
yeah, which is hilarious. So have fun with it. Yeah, listen how you want to. No judgment. You know, who cares? All right. So this week, there's Evolution of Human Science by Ted Chiang. By the way, on the flight I was on recently, I was like, I need a new audiobook. I want something long. I got some credits, right? You get them audio credits. And I got what's it called? Something that Devon's recently read. One of the Words of Radiance. Is that what it is? The Way of Kings.
Yeah, so because you read The Way of Kings a while ago. It's the Stormlight Archive.
Yeah, Stormlight Archives. Yeah, so it's I'm opening up. Yeah, The Way of Kings.
Book.
Yeah, The Way of Kings, which is a 45-hour audiobook if you listen to it at normal speed. And I listened to on the flight. It was like an hour and a half worth that I listened to, and I was like, and I have read this with words years ago. And I remember liking it, but I didn't really remember all the specifics. Started listening to it, and I was like, oh, yeah. This was good. I forgot how good this was.
It's good, yeah.
That's a good story. But this week, the Evolution of Human Science. This how long was this? How long did it take you to listen to, Devon? 45 seconds?
No, I listened to it at 1.2, so it wasn't that quick. It was about the same.
But that being said, it's like a 5-minute.
And I listened to it twice.
I
listened to it like right after the last episode. I listened to it, and then today I listened to it again.
I was going to try to listen to it again because it is so short. So what is? Well, just Devon, since you're talking, what is this story telling us? What's this about?
So, first of all, there's no characters. It's read like a new article in a science magazine explaining why there haven't been many new scientific published articles by humans. When it comes down to is that humanity seems to have been divided into humans, normal, unaugmented, regular humans, and they call them, what's the word they used?
Ooh.
What is it? Not superhumans,
metahumans.
Not augmented humans. It's
metahumans.
Metahumans. Yeah, metahumans.
Okay. They went the DC route.
So,
got it.
Yeah, and they does discuss like what exactly kind of happens. There's a point in fetal development where the parents can choose to have their kid have access to this. I don't know how to explain it. Some kind of like basically access to be able to understand and interact with whatever it is that metahumans interact with to become super intelligent. And metahumans are so advanced that what they do and their scientific research is incomprehensible to average humans. So human scientific research is basically just trying to decipher the metahuman scientific research. And they say that that what the metahumans are doing is not detrimental to humans. It's not a competition. It's not like we're trying to get rid of them or succeed them or anything. It's just we want to understand what they're doing, and we do benefit from their advancements. At least that's what it seemed to be the case. So it's not a competitive or adversarial type thing. It's just the only kind of research humans can do now is trying to understand the research done by metahumans. And so they talk about different ways that's kind of done. They even talk about it at one point. There's like a remote sensing type procedure that humans try, which almost seems like,
Psychic nonsense.
like beyond science. But of course, when science is so advanced, who knows what's actually going on,
Yeah.
So, sufficiently, advanced technology looks like magic. So, and it's kind of, that's it. It's kind of just a discussion of that process and the state of science in the future with there being humans and metahumans. And that's kind of it.
Wasn't
from what
there,
I gathered.
There was a point made about, are there going to be less of these metahumans or more of them because of how they have to be developed? Didn't it point one way or the other?
Well,
I mean, it just talked about how if parents choose to have their kids become metahumans, they're basically choosing to eventually lose contact with their kids because their kids will be too smart and they won't be able to understand their kids.
Right. Yeah. So are less people doing it because of that, or is it continuing?
They really don't go through.
Remember.
They don't.
Okay. But there's no way to augment a human brain into a metahuman one. You basically, prior to birth, there's a gene therapy that has to be performed before the embryo begins neurogenesis in order for the brain to be compatible with DNT, the digital neural transfer, which allows metahumans to communicate with one another.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So the idea here is if you were to start that gene therapy, on the embryo and bring to term and then decide, oh, you know what, I'd rather be able to communicate with my kid, then it would be like starving them. Yeah. Like it's actually like really, really not cool for you to have made that choice and not follow through with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you guys think? It's like this is like a micro story, not even a short story.
Yeah, like I liked it. There's not a lot to talk about, with the story, but interesting idea.
Yeah,
and it's possible to really happen.
I loved it because it's speculative fiction, right? Like just told through a scientific journal in which the only new science that they're publishing is summaries of things that are barely comprehensible to human thought. Like it's this article starts off, it's been 20 years since we published new science made by humans, by human scientists, and so it's time for us to have a theoretical and like a discussion about the ethics of the time that this story is in, which is really fascinating to me, like that the fact that it ends with we need not be intimidated by the accomplishments of metahuman science. That the fact is that the technologies that made metahumans possible were originally invented by humans, and they were no smarter than we. But they do mention a couple of different places where human society has benefited from the advances made by metahuman society. We just don't understand it, so it's just okay, well,
things are better, we don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, this really is analogous to when we have large leaps in technology. How does a smartphone work? We don't know, but we use it. Right?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, some humans do know it is capable of being.
No,
known,
I'm saying it's not exactly, but that's why this is understandable, because we all use technology that we don't understand. That was made by humans. The metahumans were made by humans, but we don't understand how it works. And
Was it a Nate Bargatze joke or someone like that, where they're like, if I went back in time,
oh yeah,
no, I wouldn't be any. I would not be able to help people like advanced technology.
Right.
Like we have smartphones. Okay, how do they work?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that in this story, that's what I got out of it, that this was like kind of like that, but taken to another level. Just as like a fun little like what if thought experiment exercise, like, oh, what if blah, blah, blah. And it was super interesting for like a 5-minute listen, and you get this like amazingly creative chunk of sci-fi that lets your brain just kind of like marinate in it for a while and think about it. That's really well done for being so efficient with its storytelling. It's great.
I really appreciate it. It felt a lot like Becky Chambers' Monk and Robot, like the history of Monk and Robot series. You know, like the fact that a huge shift occurred in our consciousness and our understanding of someone that in our society we may label the other. So in the Monk and Robot series, it would be the robots. You know, they're like, they lay down all of their industrialization tools and they say, we are not going to help you to destroy the ecosystem of this moon. That we're not doing that anymore. And the humans have a choice there. In our society, we would probably say, no, get under our boot heel. You know, but in that story, it was like, hey, all right, we recognize your autonomy. And we recognize that you are now something different than what we had expected you to be. And we respect what you are, not what we want you to be. And so this story with the metahumans feels very similar in that there is no conflict between humans and metahumans. We benefit from metahumans being, humans benefit from metahumans being around by the improvements to the environment and the improvements of culture and our energy use. But we just don't understand it. And there's no conflict there. It's just something that like, okay, well, we now recognize what our place in the world is now.
Change is hard, but it doesn't have to be.
Right. And this is a universe in which 25 years have passed and the change has not been hard. The change had benefits.
Oh, it's so great when people are smart and they're just like, oh yeah, that is a good idea. We don't have to fight about it.
Where they think with their heads and not their fears.
Yeah, it's a good world to live in. All right, well, science fiction, everyone. That's why we love it.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great?
Excellent, good job, Ted Chang, who definitely listens. Oh boy. Okay, well, guys, we've reached the end again, my friends. Everyone read or listen to or whatever, Liking What You See by Ted Chang for next week's episode. And I think that's about it. Devon, do you have any final thoughts?
Nope.
Excellent. Ben, any last words?
If you think that your refrigerator collecting data and the TV spying on you is bad enough, remember, the vacuum cleaner has been gathering dirt on you for years.
Good night, everybody.
This has been the Science Faction Podcast. Tweet to the host at SciFact Podcast. Email them at sciencefactionpodcast@gmail.com and visit sciencefactionpodcast.com for more episodes.